Hello fellow biogeeks. In this video, I'm going to explain more about membranes. In my previous two videos, I explained the cell organelles in general and the nucleus. However, before I went deeper into the other cell organelles, I wanted to focus on membranes because membranes are present everywhere in the cell. And as an example, I give this figure. First of all, we have the cell itself. The cell is surrounded by a cell membrane, and the nucleus also has a membrane. This is the nuclear envelope. And if as you can see, when we zoom in, we have a nuclear membrane that has pores and it's like connected to the rough endoplasmatic reticulum. And this means that the rough endoplasmatic reticulum here it has the same composition in their membrane as the nuclear envelope. So that's very interesting to me. If we then continue with another example, the endosome. The endosome is a bud that comes off of the cell membrane through endocytosis. So the cell membrane makes a bud and it has like some molecules in it, and it then buds off and goes into the cell, and it then can be transported to certain regions and perform their function. And these endosomes also have a membrane, and it's the same composition as the cell membrane because it's like originate from it. If we look at the nuclear envelope, as I said earlier, it has pores in it. These pores are very important for communication between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. These pores can transport small molecules through it through diffusion. However, if there are bigger molecules that are bigger than the pores themselves, it needs active transport. So it needs energy for the bigger molecules to enter the cell, to enter the nucleus, I mean. Another function it has is that it can help in the folding of chromatin. As you know, chromatin is like the genetic material, and the nuclear envelope has proteins that can help into this process of chromatin folding, which is very important. Next up, we're going to talk more about the cell membrane. So imagine this is a cell with a nucleus. And if we zoom in, we can see that the cell membrane has two layers. That's interesting because, it has two layers. And why is that? Well, if we zoom in even more, we can see like a small human. You can see that a small human with a head and like a body. However, this body is called the tail. So this is a lipid, a phospholipid, and it has a head and tail, and the head is called to be hydrophilic, which means if you look into the word, hydro means water and philic means love. So it loves water. And if we look at the tail, it's hydrophobic. Again, hydro is water and phobic means phobia, and it means that it has a phobia for water. So what does it do? The head orientates towards water substances, like for example the extracellular matrix and the cytoplasm, and the tails will orientate towards each other because they hate water, and that's why we have a bilayer. Now, what are other functions they have? For example, they have intercellular communication. This means that one cell can have communication with other cells, and that's because in the cell membrane it can have proteins, and these proteins will recognize other cells. They are made for that, and they can induce some cellular processes depending on what cells they are. Next up, they're also important in signal transduction. This means that when for example, a ligand, which means that it's a molecule, binds onto a receptor in the envelope in the membrane, the intercellular domain of the receptor can induce some reactions, like for example activate kinases, And these will eventually, for example, activate a gene inside of the nucleus. And this, yeah, can happen on multiple ways. Next function is that it's important in cell adhesion. What does this mean? Well, this means that, for example, let's say this is an immune cell. Immune cells travel through the blood, and when they have to be at a certain place in tissue, it can have like molecules or proteins in the cell membrane, and these proteins will recognize other proteins on the blood vessel. And because of this, it will like stays on the blood vessel, and it can migrate through the blood vessel and go to the place where it needs to exert its functions. So these are some important functions of the cell membrane. And then the last example I'm going to give is endosomes. And as you can see, it has like multiple proteins. It has receptors, which can be important, and it has transporters. And that's what I'm going to focus on now. So endosomes, inside of the endosome, there can be a different pH level. And because of these proteins, the pH level can be maintained. And this is important for certain functions. And yeah, this is what I wanted to say about membranes. If you found this helpful, yeah, I'm very happy it was. And I have a link in my description where I link you to my Fiverr profile, and there you can order a private tutoring session with me, and you can send me a process that you don't really understand, and I will um, prepare, of course, and then I can explain you in detail what the process is, and I can use figures to explain it as well. So if you're interested, you can do that. And if not, you can keep enjoying these short little videos. And I hope this was helpful. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for listening.